Jericho by just shouting. When the trumpet sounded, the army shouted, and the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. So it wasn't by sword, it wasn't by Joshua's strength or the Israelites' strength, but it was God's power making the walls of Jericho collapse. Can you imagine by just shouting, you can make the wall collapse? I mean, even today, miski sumigaw-sigaw ako, I don't think I can break any of those lamp unless na lang talagang mataas yung boses mo, right? But these walls we're talking about is like, we mentioned before, we have described what kind of walls are those. It's a two-leveled walls in which it's so hard to get through, it's so hard to penetrate. But because of God's presence with Joshua, they were able to break that wall. And then, remember, God has a commandment for them, a very, very serious commandment within it says, but all the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron are holy to the Lord. They shall go into the treasury of God. That was the commandment of God. They said, on verse 21, Joshua 6:21, they devoted the city to the Lord and destroyed with the sword every living thing in it. So men, women, young and old, the cattle, the sheep, the donkeys, all living things has to be destroyed. But the gold, the silver, and all those treasury, it has to be given to God. But you know what happened on verse 7? We will be talking on the conquest of Ai. Ai is a tribe. So next, I know hindi masyado makita dyan, but this is Jericho. Next to Jericho is the tribe of Ai. So the soldiers that were sent for the Jericho city were 40,000. Ai is different. They have no walls. They have less people. And this, I'll just read the first part of Joshua. But the Israel violated the instructions, this is Joshua 7, about the things set apart for the Lord. A man named Achan had stolen some of these dedicated things. So the Lord was very angry with the Israelites. Achan was the son of Carmi, a descendant of Zimri, son of Zerah, the tribe of Judah. So Joshua sent home of his men from Jericho to spy out the town of Ai. So they spied the town of Ai, east of Bethel, near Beth Aven. When they returned, they told Joshua, there's no need for all of us to go there. It won't take more than 2,000 or 3,000 men to attack Ai. Since there are so few of them, don't make all your people struggles to go up there. So, hindi masyadong maraming tao. Konti lang ang Ai, walang walls. So, probably Joshua and the Israelites are very confident. Remember, they don't need to battle any hindrance para makapunta sa tribe of Ai. So, when they spy it, okay, konti lang yung tao. Maaring hindi sila ganun katalino kagaya ng mga taga-Jericho. Maybe they're not that smart compared to the Jericho people. This one is small, so you don't need to give all your tribes. You don't need to give not the tribes, your whole army. On verse 4, so approximately 3,000 warriors were sent, but they were soundly defeated. Again, I'm going to repeat, but they were soundly defeated. The warriors of Jericho were 40,000. This one, the Ai, 3,000 only, but they were defeated. The men of Ai chased the Israelites from the town gate as far as the quarries, and they killed about 36 who were retreating down the slope. The Israelites were paralyzed with fear at this turn of event, and their courage melted away. Verse 6, Joshua and the elders of Israel tore their clothing in dismay, threw dust on their heads, and bowed face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord until evening. Then Joshua cried out, O sovereign Lord, why did you bring us across the Jordan River if you're going to let the Amorites kill us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side. Lord, what can I say that Israel has fled from its enemy? For when the Canaanites and all the other people living in the land hear about it, they will surround us and wipe our name off face of the earth. And then what will happen to the honor of their great name? Last verse, but the Lord said to Joshua, can we read it all around? All around, get up. Why are you lying your face like this? Israel has sinned and broke my covenant. They have stolen some of the things that I commanded must be set apart from me. And they have not only stolen them, but they have lied about it and hidden the things among to their own belongings. So, can you imagine, sila Joshua, they were just finished the battle from Jericho. The walls collapsed. I believe people are running for their lives. Children are crying. The animals are there. But the commandment of God is to destroy every living things. So lahat, even the cattle, even the sheep needs to die. And I bet, pag may ambush, remember when there's an ambush, would you still worry about your gold? Of course not. You will run for your life. Ayun na yung sword, papatayin ka na. They're gonna kill you. Will you still worry burying your gold and silver? Of course not. So what the scenario is, there were their properties of the Jericho people were all around. They were all scattered. Maybe yung mga gold nila nakalantaray sa kalye. And it's everywhere. So, sabing ganito, I'll just read verse 7 to 12. That is why the Israelites are running from their enemies in defeat. For now, the Israel itself has been set apart for destruction. I will not remain with you any longer unless you destroy the things among you that were set apart. So it's very clear that among the 40,000 men who fought for the Jericho city, who fought on that battle, they obeyed the rules except for one. It was Achan, the rotten tomato. So what can we learn from this study? What can we learn from this verse? Let's try to analyze the anatomy of defeat. Remember on the first verse ng Joshua, sabi ng Lord, I will be with you wherever you go. Do not be afraid. Surely I will be with you. That was God's promise. And Joshua, when he heard that 36 of his men died and the rest fled from the city of Ai, he tore his clothes. He prayed to God, Lord, what's going on? You promised me that you're going to be with me. Lord, this is just a few tribe, a small tribe that we don't need to exert too much energy. Why did we fail? Bakit kami talunan over this small people, small tribe? I bet the Ai were laughing, haha. See what happened to them? God left them. Maybe yun ang usapan in the tribe of Ai because they were fled. Alam niyo po, in a battle, during the old times, when your enemy runs away from you, that is a big disgrace. Some people, when they go to war, they will go forward and let themselves kill. But running away from your enemy is such a big disgrace. And that's what Joshua felt noong mga panahon na yun. So, what could have happened? Why did the Israelites experience defeat in their life on that battle? So, number one, distrust leads to disobedience. Unang-una, there was one person who forgotten about the golden rule. I bet Joshua's been trying to tell them, I've been telling you, all the golds, the treasury, and all of that, it belongs to God. Never touch those. But Achan, from the tribe of Judah, took some of those precious gold and silver from the Jericho people. So distrust. It was Achan who did not trust God. I don't know why did he took it. Maybe he saw, oh, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me and my family to get rich. Malay mo, when there will be famine, I will have a lot because I still have this money. I still have this gold and silver. He forgotten that it was God who's been providing for their needs. He forgotten the 40 years in Israel. Remember, the manna was raining from them. The bread was raining literally from heaven just to feed them. And even the quails, the meat, were given to them. They don't need to farm, they don't need to plant. It was God who provided everything. And in the nighttime, the pillar of fire were surrounding them like a heater nung nandun sila sa desert when they were in the desert. God had provided everything. But Achan forgot to trust God. Distrust leads to disobedience. Right? When we start forgetting to trust God, we start disobeying God. You don't trust God anymore. You trust your own self. You trust your own strength. And what happened? We tend to disobey God. We tend to disobey His commandments. No, I need to provide for my family. I need to do this. And you have forgotten that God will provide for your needs. What do you do? Sometimes, baka pwedeng, minsan, I will be out of the church one Sunday. That's okay. There's no problem with that. Pero when you start not going to church anymore, what is going on? We're starting to disobey. We're starting to depart ourselves from the presence of God because we distrust Him. Distrust leads to disobedience. So, Joshua 7:1, but the Israelites were unfaithful in regard to the devoted things. Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Simri, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took some of them to the Lord's. So the Lord's anger burns against Israel. So number 2, disobedience leads to defeat. Because one of them disobeyed the rules that God has set for them. What happened to the Israelites? What happened to them? They got defeated. So Joshua 7:4-5, so about 3,000 went up, but they rooted by the men of Ai, who killed about 36 of them. They chased the Israelites from the city gate as far as the stone of Paris and struck them down on the slope. At this, the heart of the people melted in fear and became water. So their hopes collapsed when they saw that the Ai defeated some of the men that they sent to battle against them. Natalo sila. And they were so disappointed. Their heart were broken, but they don't know what's going on. Why? Bakit? Why are we defeated? What's going on? I think we obeyed every rules. We listened to God. We did what God wants to do, what wants us to do, but how come on this small tribe we lost? Because they didn't know someone disobeyed the rules. Someone disobeyed God. And then what happened is, here comes Joshua praying. Here comes Joshua praying. What had happened? Remember on the first verse that we said he tore his clothes. In those times, yung tradition nila when they tore their clothes, that means they are in great anguish, they are in great desperation, they are in great sadness. And people put dust on their heads. It's also a sign of praying to God. They were fasting and they were praying and they were asking for God's answer on what happened. So, let's see what happened on the disclosure. Disclosure is the explanation. Bakit nga ba? Ano nga ba nangyari? What could have happened? Sabi pa ni Joshua, what a shame. What a shame in your name, God. I bet all my enemies are laughing. All the enemies, all the people in the Canaan are laughing of this incident. So, early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes before the Lord. So I will just, I caught it from that portion, but on the previous verse, God said to Joshua, get up. Get up. Why are you lying your face down? It's because of the sin of Israel. Kaya kayo natalo. Merong ginawang kalokohan. Yung isa sa mga kasamahan niyo, someone disobeyed. And this is what God said. So early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes of Israel before the Lord. And the tribe of Judah was singled out. Then the clans of Judah came forward. So I will just say there will be 12 tribes of Israel. There's always 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph, the tribe of Joseph, Benjamin, Gad, Dan. I'm not gonna enumerate them, but there's a specific tribe, the tribe of Judah. Sila yung napili. Sabing ganun, okay, the tribe of Judah will remain. It was God who's instructing Joshua na i-single out yung ibang tribe. So the tribe of Judah was chosen. And then, the clans of Judah came forward. So lahat ng mga taga-Judah tribe, all those from Judah tribe, came forward. And the clan of Zerah was singled out. So from Judah to Zerah, from Zerah to Zimri, and every member of the Zimri's family was brought forward, person by person. And Achan was singled out. So it was Achan, sa kanya pinatanggal yung iba, and it was Achan who remained. And said, the Lord said to Achan, my son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel. By telling the truth, make your confession and tell me what you have done. Don't hide it from me. I bet Achan is already shivering that day. He knows. He knows from the very start bakit natalo ang Israel. He knows that it was him who did not obey the commandment. He knows that it was him who is the rotten tomato in that group. Imagine 40,000 people, 40,000 armies, 40,000 men who went to battle in the Jericho, in the city of Jericho. All of them obeyed. All of them listened, except for Achan. Except for Achan. Okay na sana no? Sold na sana sila Successful na sana sila Kaya lang, meron talagang isip na laging spoiler sa triumph ng battle na yun. And so, Achan replied, it is true, I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. Among the plunder, I saw a beautiful robe from Babylon. So nakakalat yung mga treasury, mga tao patay na. All of the people are dead. Excuse me. The animals are dead, and all of their possessions are on the ground. And then here comes Achan. He saw a robe from Babylon, 200 silver coins, and a bar of gold weighing more than a pound. Maybe when he saw those things, he had been looked to the left or to the right. He could have watched everyone. Where are the soldiers? Nobody's looking. Nobody see me. What is it? What happened if I took it? There's no inventory at that moment. I bet on Joshua's army, they won't be saying, how much did you get? Ano yung mga nakuha mo, Vic? Ano yung nakuha mo, Eddie? Ilang golds yan? And then we have to, maybe they put them together, iniimbak nila sa isang lugar. But Achan, he didn't surrender what he saw. He took the robe, the 200 silver of coins, and a bar of gold weighing more than a pound. Sabi dito, I wanted them so much that I took them. I wanted them so much that I took them. They are hidden in the ground beneath my tent, with the silver buried deeper than the rest. So Joshua sent some of the men to make a search. They ran to the tent and found the stolen goods hidden there, just as Achan had said, with the silver beneath the rest. So that's what happened. Achan confessed, sabi niya. Among the plunder, remember, watch all the highlighted words. I saw a beautiful robe from Babylon. I wanted them so much that I took them. So the rest of the army also saw those golds, those silvers. They also wanted them. I believe they do. If I am there, I could have been taken it, maybe. But Achan is the only one who took it. The rest, they left it there or they put it in the treasury. Hindi ba ganon tayo? When we want something, pag nakita mo, when you saw it, you want it. Even like nung Black Friday when we were shopping, I bet when you saw a bag, a beautiful bag, you saw it there, oh my goodness, pag-iipunan ko to. I want this bag, for example. I really want this. It's not that expensive, but pag-iipunan ko to get it. But with Achan, maybe he is so, how would I say, natokso siya sa ganda ng robe from Babylon. Maybe it's really glamorous. I mean, silver on the floor, nandyan na. What's the reason of not taking it? What's the reason of not getting it and keeping it for yourself? You know, they live in the desert for 40 years. 40 years they were there. Maybe he hasn't seen that many gold in his entire life, and he could have thought, wait, this can feed my family for the next how many years? This can give me fortune. Maybe when I get old, the rest of the Israelites will be hungry, but me, I'm not going to be hungry because I have this silver and gold with me. Meron siyang retirement plan. He had a retirement plan and he chose it. He took it. Alam niyo po, in our life is a choice. In everything that we do, you have a choice. When we met God as our Savior, it was a choice. You choose to accept God. You choose to believe in God. You choose to say, Lord, yes, I will follow you. God has given us the choice. Even in decision making sa buhay natin, sa trabaho natin, you made a choice. You were there in your job because you choose to be there. You choose your career because you want to be a nurse. It is a choice. And minsan, sa buhay natin, when failure comes, we sometimes think, was my choice wrong? Did I make the wrong choice sa buhay ko? Why this is happening to me? Because sa buhay natin, God is always with us. God says He will never leave us. He will never forget us. But there is also a commandment that you need to follow. You can't just be God and the rest of the day, the rest of the week, you're doing evil works. You cannot say, I choose God, I choose to worship you, when the rest of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're doing things that are not kalugod-lugod, that are not acceptable to God. It is a choice. Everything we do is a choice. And then when we meet God in heaven, God will ask you, what did you do? It's tatanong, merong accounting, there's accounting in heaven that God will ask you, what have you done to my son Jesus? Did you make him known to your friends? Did you let Jesus shine in your life? It is a choice. In everything that we do, it's a choice. So, the Israelites were defeated from the army. Diba? Natalo sila. Because someone disobeyed. Someone didn't trust God. Someone didn't follow the rules. And what happened? Defeat leads to death. Let's see what happened to Achan. Then Joshua and all the Israelites took Achan, the silver, the robe, and the bar of gold, his sons, daughters, cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, tent, and everything he had. And they brought them to the valley of Achor. Then Joshua said to Achan, why have you brought trouble on us? The Lord will now bring trouble on you. And all the Israelites stoned Achan and his family and burned their bodies. Verse 26, they piled a great heap of stones over Achan, which remains to this day. That is why the place has been called the Valley of Trouble ever since. So the Lord was no longer angry. So what happened to him? Defeat leads to death. Achan was punished severely. I bet, can you imagine his sons, his daughters? Wala silang kinalaman. They have nothing to do with it, but because their parent, their dad, disobeyed, they were punished severely. Siguro, I would say it's okay when a person died, by a gun, right? Barilin ka lang sa ulo, okay, you don't feel the pain. But what they did, they stoned him. And in the old times, they have to dig. Kailangan nila mabuhay. They need to dig on a hole, and people will be buried there. So, for women, they were buried until this point. For men, they were buried until this point. So, during the stoning, if you were able to get out of that buried pit hole, you are spared. If you are able to get out. But if not, they will stone you to death. Ganun yung parusa sa kanila noon. There's no grace like we have. Aren't we lucky today? That if we sometimes didn't do what we're supposed to do, if we lie, I know we're not all perfect. We lie, we get mad, we get angry. Nobody will stone you. Nobody will burn you. It's because of the grace of God. Dahil sa kabutihan, it's because of Jesus who's been there covering us from God. But during the old times, that was the rule. If you disobey, they will be stoned and they will burn. And I bet in the tribe of Judah, they were all mourning. But the truth is, you disobeyed. That was the rule. You know from the start that you're not supposed to do that, but you choose to do it. And so, the Lord was no longer angry. When Achan was executed and his family were executed, God was no longer angry. Let's see the succeeding verse. The success of Israelites. The Israelites defeated Ai. From the first, natalo sila ng Ai, remember? Maybe when they were running away from the Ai, Joshua and his men were saying, ay, atalo tayo to. We were defeated, ng konti-konti lang nila. We were defeated, but when the rotten tomato was removed from the crowd, the rotten tomato was removed from the Israelites, God was favor. God gave them favor, and they won on the Israelites on the battle of Ai. So then the Lord said to Joshua, that's Joshua 8:1-2, do not be afraid or discouraged. Take all your fighting men and attack Ai, for I have given you the king of Ai, his people, his town, and his land. You will destroy them as you destroyed Jericho and its king. But this time, you may keep the plunder and the livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the town. But this time, medyo iniba na ng Lord yung rules. Sige, you can have the livestock with you. Yung mga sheep, you can have it. And everything you see, you can keep it. Then the next preceding verse, if you go to Joshua 10, not only Joshua and the armies of Israel defeated the tribes. Remember, I told you before that in the promised land in Canaan, there are different tribes, different cities. So hindi lang Jericho. It's not only the Jericho city, but there were other tribes on it. So Joshua defeated the southern armies. On this story, I will just paipaiksiin ko lang. So, five kings of Amorites gathered together. Sabi nila, magsama-sama tayo. Teka, we are being defeated by Joshua and the Israelites. What if we join force? What if we go together and let's fight Joshua and his men? Well, the truth is, hindi naman sila solid na nananalo. Remember what happened to Ai on the first one? They got defeated. So why don't we go together? Let's group together and fight Joshua. So 5 kings of Amorites were united to defeat Joshua. So as the Amorites retreated down from the road of Beth-horon, the Lord destroyed them with a terrible hailstorm. So God wasn't just with Joshua, with the man, with the sword, but imagine hailstorm. Ang hail, they're falling from the sky. And it says there, terrible hailstorm from heaven that continued until they reached Azekah. The hail killed more of the enemy than the Israelites killed the sword. So most likely when they were fighting, more people got killed because of the hailstorms that God had given on that battle. Maaring yung namatay lang from sword using by the Joshua's sword, I don't know, maybe 10,000 maybe? And the rest of the thousands of the vast army, the vast army of their enemy were destroyed by the hail. It's like big ice falling from the sky, hitting them, parang binabato sila ganun. And that's how God is. I don't know, sa battle natin in modern times, I never seen someone producing hailstorm just to defeat the enemy. But in the time of Joshua, God was so with them that He even used a hailstorm. He even used those hails to defeat His enemy. And not only that, on the day of the Lord gave the Israelites victory, Amorites, Joshua prayed to the Lord. In front of all the people of Israel, he said, "Let the sun stand still over Gibeon, and the moon over the valley of Ajalon." So verse 13, this is so amazing. The sun stood still and the moon stayed in place until the nation of Israel defeated its enemy. Until the nation of Israel defeated its enemy. The sun stayed in the middle of the sky. So instead of settling down, God hold the sunset that day. He makes sure that the sun will not set that day until the Israelites will win. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the grace and the favor and the goodness of God on that day? That He never let His children be defeated. When He promised, "I will be with you, I will guide you as long as you follow my commandment." Even the sun, He told the sun, "Oops, you're not going to set at 5 o'clock today. You will stay there, maybe 7, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the sun was still there. Gabi na, it's already 10 o'clock in the evening, but the sun is still there, it's still in the morning." That's how amazing God is. And said, and it did not set as on a normal day. There has never been a day like this one before or since when the Lord answered such prayer. Surely the Lord fought for Israel that day. That's how special Joshua is. That's how special the Israelites to God. And you know, that's how special you are to God. He can let the sun not set today just for you to overcome your problem. If you need for the sun to set, to be there in the sky, just to help you, God will do that. If He was able to do it, I think if you can review all the verses in the Bible, all the stories in the Bible, there was never like this event na nangyari that ever happened in the battle. I mean, during the battle with David, they were able to conquer their enemies, but with Joshua, the intervention of God was there. The provision of God was there. Why? Because He promised it. Because He told him so. Because God chose them that you will be victorious. God told them you're going to be victorious in your life. You're going to conquer your enemies. Only if you obey His commandments. So, the favor of God was returned to the Israelites. They were able to win all their battles. And if you can read the rest of Joshua, on the battle of Joshua, lahat ng promised land, all of the tribes in the promised land, they were able to conquer Canaan. And in the later years of the Israelites' history, you will see that's why Jerusalem was there. King David's had their kingdom over there. And the Canaan, the promised land, was given to the Israelites. And the different tribes have different position on that place. And it was God who did everything. Remember during the time when the Israelites were still servants, they're still servant in Egypt, God said, "Kukunin ko kayo, I will transfer you into a promised land." And God did every promise He said. God answered every prayers that this Israelite did. He didn't only answer it. He didn't only pursue His promise to them, but He provided everything they need. God have provided everything they need, even the food, even the sun, even the healer during the night. It was God who provided everything. I don't want to be like Achan, whom he saw the goodness of God. He saw the Jordan River was parted and they were able to get through the land. He saw the Dead Sea parted during the Moses time and all the Israelites were able to go through. Those are millions of Israelites that passed the Dead Sea. He was there. Achan was there. He saw all the goodness of God. He saw everything. But the problem with him, he didn't trust God. He disobeyed God. And to our conclusion today, what's inside your tent? What's going on with your tent? Are you like Achan, who's trying to hide your most treasured possession? Alam niyo po, sa buhay natin in our life, we are somehow like Achan. It's hard to give on something that belongs to us. It's something to give a possession that you know it's not right before God, but it's so hard to give in. I don't know, what could it be? It could be an addiction. It could be a long-time relationship. It could be pride. No? Ayoko nga. Ba't ako makikipagbati sa kanya? Siya yung unang nanggalit, right? He was the first one who mistreated me. Why would I be nice to him? It could be unforgiving. It's so hard to forgive. I remember those times when we were little, they were mistreating us so badly. Why would I ask forgiveness? Bakit ako panghihingi ng tawad? Eh sila yung may ginawang kalokohan sa akin. Right? You know, the promises of God is very clear. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy whatever among you is devoted for destruction. God cannot be contained in a cup that is full of sin. God cannot manipulate in your life if your life is not obeying God. God cannot continue to fulfill His promise on you unless you surrender whatever is not of God. The commandments are clear. The commandment is clear. Whatever doesn't belong to God, it has to be destroyed. Whatever attitude you have, whatever circumstances you have, whatever that does not belong to God, if you're living in a sinful life that you know it's not worthy before God, it has to be destroyed. It has to be destroyed. Can we all stand up?